Today we're going to start in Sphinx. So lie on your belly. Bring your elbows just slightly in front of your shoulders, shoulder distance apart. Let your legs be heavy. Let your shoulders drop back. Back, more like down. And you can feel the pressure kind of pooling in your lower back, which is one of the main aims of this pose. Now, just to start, maybe close your eyes, do some wonderful yawns, of course, also a nice way to start. And just with your attention, trace your inhale as it moves into your body. Notice this natural pause that happens. And then trace with your attention, your breath coming out of your body. And let's start this morning with a Ute prayer. Earth, teach me freedom as the eagle soars in the sky. Earth, teach me regeneration as the seed which rises each spring. Earth, teach me to forget myself as melted snow forgets its life. Earth, teach me to remember kindness as dry fields weep with rain. I'm going to read it again. Earth, teach me freedom as the eagle soars in the sky. Earth, teach me regeneration as the seed which rises each spring. Earth, teach me to forget myself as melted snow forgets its life. Earth, teach me to remember kindness as dry fields weep with rain. The first line talks about an eagle soaring in the sky. In different cosmologies, I'm thinking mostly like in Indigenous American cosmologies, the eagle often is representative of spirit. In Judeo-Christian, even Greco-Roman traditions, the eagle also represents thinking. And at first read, those two things seem far away. You know, the spirit, that part of the human being who lives from lifetime to lifetime. And then thinking, which is the most mercurial, definitely, but the most fleeting elements actually of our life. To come out of the pose today, One more. Let's do it this way. We're going to first lie down in, you want to lift up like we come out of the pose regularly. Lift up nicely. Maybe even take your gaze up to the ceiling with your exhale, lower down to the ground. And we're going to do our shoulder opener here. So you're going to reach your right arm straight out of your shoulder to your right with your palm facing down. And then turn your gaze to the left and hug your knees up to your chest on the left-hand side. You might need a pillow here, or you might need padding somewhere. Make the adjustments you need. Now, this pose already is in the pose. This already, you can feel it on your lower shoulder. There's pressure, there's something going on. But to come deeper into the pose, you can stretch your left arm up to the sky and put your left foot on the ground, and then maybe see if you can spin your left palm around and hold hands behind your back without significantly lowering your hands down towards your butt. You might lower your hands a little bit to get the grip, but then you effort and lift your arms to eventually come back to where your right arm is stretching straight out from your shoulder. So in a way, there is this dichotomy between the spirit with this part of us that is the forever part of our being, that has kind of the initiatory impulse to bring us down onto earth with a particular aim for our life, that we come to earth with this wish to work out something in our spirit that hasn't been worked before. And in our thinking, this is a realm that is most alive for us while we are between birth and death on earth and awake. So we're most connected or familiar with our thinking mind. We then have an experience where we have dreams in sleep. And then we also have experience where everything is asleep and we have nothing coming out of that cognitively or explicitly. Take 10 more full deep breaths here. So it is an occult fact that we need our body to think. We need our body alive to think. After your 10th breath, release and wiggle your fingers. It's okay if your arm fell asleep, but you can move it around and feel sensation flooding back into your limbs. And then you're going to stretch your left arm out to the left. You may, discover that one side's not like the other. Stretch your left arm out, look to your right, hug your knees up to your chest on your right-hand side. This might be enough for you, or you can bring your right foot onto the ground and stretch your right arm up, reaching back to hold hands behind you without significantly lowering your arm or bring it back up. So maybe you remember in like when you were like 12 or 10, and it was a really fascinating question of if the tree falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, doesn't make a sound, which is a little bit of a very myopic question, you know, as if something is only real if it's witnessed by a human. But there's something in that, some element that we know is different. In the same way with our thinking, you know, if when we're asleep, maybe we're thinking all the time, but there's nothing to catch that thinking. And instead, our experience of thinking in ourselves is it's nearly like we're catching our thoughts. And you may even have very specific experience of, especially in meditation, trying to concentrate on one thing or trying to direct your thinking on one image. And that it actually takes this inner will to keep either your mind there or to keep returning to that spot. You'll also notice that you have different experiences of thinking. So some days you might be, you know, trying to solve a problem, a very practical, down to earth problem. You may even find there's math involved or practicalities involved, or, you know, and you can really kind of pin your thinking down to solve this particular problem, this physical problem. Other days, you might notice that you have some sort of neuroses or fear or kind of repeated theme that seems to take, you know, control over your thinking. And no matter what you do, you keep coming back to thinking about this thing. You'll also find that you can have, you know, creative thinking. So maybe if you've read a poem or you've read some kind of philosophy, that you are actually, it spurs and fructifies your thinking to go further, to have a new idea, to think of something that is outside of what you've read. And you may even have the experience of your thinking striking with you like an epiphany or an insight. But rarely do we have the cognition of understanding or noticing that our physical body's presence is essential to us being awake to our own thinking. But for us humans, thinking is a little bit like money, and we don't actually take our thinking into the next life. And here, as an idea or you know, food for thought, but our clarity and thinking may come into our next life as you know, there was a story that Rudolf Steiner gave, was this person who was really good at recognizing forms. He was an architect, and in the next life, he had really amazing. Uh, it was, I think, it was inner organs. So start to roll onto your belly, wiggling your fingers, moaning and groaning, making sure all your extremities are working. That from one lifetime to a next, our skills and our artistry and our thinking actually becomes part of our physical inner body rather than our soul assets. So if you're good at playing piano in this lifetime, it's not what you're going to excel at in the next lifetime because you've done it. It's part of the fullness of what our different incarnations can bring us. Now, bend your left arm and left knee and come. We're going to start with sleeping lizard here. So after the intensity of these shoulder openers, this posture will feel quite benign. And instead of searching for kind of the pain or the what's getting better here, see if you can just let your body relax and let the ground hold your body. If we can imagine our spirit setting itself on the path that we become the most well-rounded being. So in anthroposophy and spiritual science, very different than a lot of other Western-based modernists who actually do talk about reincarnation at all. Is that Steiner premises that if we've been really good at something in one life, we're not going to be really good in the next life. We'll be good at something else. He also suggests that we oscillate between being male and female. Now, in my, kind of simplistic brain, I really want that to be regular. So like every other lifetime. But maybe it's not so linear as I wish it to be. But still, the impulse is that just like a field or our physical body is searching for balance, a picture of health even is this balance. That throughout our lifetimes, we actually are balancing ourselves out. Now bring your right hand up underneath your shoulder and help yourself lift up so you're on your left elbow, your left knee stays there. And then you're gonna bring your right arm behind your left elbow, grab onto your left knee, and you might have to adjust to stay on your yoga mat, but gently flip yourself open into a twist. Take a full inhale here, and with your exhale, just sigh it out. You might notice that it feels different to come into the twist from this side than it does the other way, the more traditional way. But balance is one of these spiritual laws that has persistence, that moves beyond just one cosmology or another. Caroline Myss proffers this as one of the main spiritual laws, the laws of balance. And we see how it works in physical science. If you think about the power of osmosis, It's not just this illusion of putting the book underneath your pillow and just learning the book's in content through the air. But what osmosis talks about is this natural like urge or movement towards equilibrium that we see in nature all the time, everywhere. And yet balance is one that we struggle with in our life, in our daily life, even because our personalities don't necessarily naturally have a wish for balance. So we can nearly feel like the personalities that we come into this life with are completely biased. They want to go this way. And you'll notice as you get older that you try to temper this natural leaning that your personality has. And when you naturally try to balance it, it brings about much more freedom, integrity in your expression of not necessarily what your personality is, but who you really want to be. And you might find that sometimes your personality opens doors and other times it just slams them shut. But there is a certain, habit or soul disposition that we have that we actually cultivate medicine for ourselves in this life. Now roll onto your belly, moaning and groaning, making sure things are moving okay. You can wiggle your hips side to side and then bend your right arm and right knee and look to your right. And we're going to come into sleeping lizard for a couple of moments. So if we are trying to get to know the kernel of our being, this part of our being that it has this lasting power and initiatory power from lifetime to lifetime, we want to move beyond just following our likes and dislikes and to start to observe, well, if I made these other choices, what part of me would still remain? So, in my own biography, you might be surprised to hear this, but there's a moment where I was actually considering joining the Navy. Which, if you know me now, you're like, what? But it was a very practical, logical reason. First of all, in some ways, you could define me as growing up a poor kid in America, and in the American system, one of the biggest rackets is which is a way of saying, like, there's gangsters who set up a situation that take advantage of you. It's really what the racket is. But this racket is the astronomical uh, expense it is to go to any upper level education. And so the racket is that, everyone was told, well, you can't succeed in life without this degree. So you're going to have to take that degree if you want to make money and be successful. And we're going to charge you so much for that degree that you're going to stay in the system and you're going to pay off that money and la 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 la. Now come up onto keep your elbow and knee bent, and then come up onto your right elbow, lifts you up, and then thread your right arm behind your, sorry, that's your left arm behind your right arm. You guys did all beautifully. And then gently whip yourself open. Beautiful. Take a full inhale with your exhale, side out. And so one of the solutions to get out of this ridiculous level of debt, even going to a state school, a school that was designed by someone who designed prisons and had the whole campus set up for riot control. So everything was actually slightly sloped towards drains so they could use water hoses and stuff for crowd control. It was built in the late 60s, early 70s. And even that, left me with a crazy amount of debt. So one of the solutions was, since I wanted to go to medical school, was to join the Navy. And then I'd be able to afford to go to medical school, and they would have paid my debts off. It would have been the smart choice, but it would have compromised probably too much, or so I felt at the time. But to imagine myself having taken that path, what part of me wouldn't have been compromised or would still be effective and alive in that decision is part of what we want to start to penetrate, to start to just catch a glimpse of the part of us that is living beyond our personality and our likes and dislikes. So the practice is to lift that image up in our being. To start to know what happens if we don't just follow our likes and our dislikes. So what we are actually in freedom. So then we start to notice how much our thinking is influenced by our personality and our sympathies and antipathies, what we're pulled towards and what we're repelled against. So the eagle teaches me freedom. The earth teaches me freedom as the eagle soars in the sky. It nearly is a little bit like when we start to free our thinking up from our biases, we get that bigger perspective. Now start to roll all the way onto your back. This is where it kind of wanted like the double wide yoga mat. And then hug your knees up to your chest And you're going to rock and roll 180 degrees. So your head is where your feet are and your feet are where your head is. And then you're going to rock up into a seated position. Oh yeah, careful of the guitar, careful of the plants, careful of the paintings, and your glass of water. Okay. Whew. You guys navigated these dangers well. We're going to come into lotus pose. You can do half lotus by bringing one of your feet up into your hips. If that's not there for you, you can just have one leg in front of the other leg. If you can do half lotus, do it. If you can do full lotus, do it. And, do it. And if it's too much, then release it, but just try it out. Lift up nice and tall. Bring your hands to heart center. Let's take Anahata Mudra. Feeling the little bit of effort that we need to really open up our fingers. Close your eyes and dedicate your practice, this vinyasa part of your practice. Give it away to somebody or peace on earth. Let's sound 3 ohms. Empty your breath. Take a deep inhale. All right. And then you can roll over your knees and shoot back. Chaturanga, woohoo! Or get there wherever you want. But you can vinyasa your way to downward facing dog, or you can just make your way to downward facing dog. However you want to get there. And then feel the length of your body, feel your hands and feet connecting to the ground. You can even feel that you're spreading out your fingers a little bit, spreading out and stretching your toes, taking some layers off, shedding your socks, throwing your sweatshirts. Take a full breath in, and with your exhale, just sigh it out. With your inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. Exhale, bend your knee, let your right leg help your hip spin open. Feel how the whole right side of your body wants to go with that hip. Instead, square your right shoulder blade down towards the yoga mat again. Take another full inhale, lifting your knee further from your hip. Your foot is flexed. And then with your exhale, lower your right leg down to the ground. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, bend your knee, let your hip roll open. Your knee reaching for the ceiling, your flexed foot reaching for your buttocks. And then push down through your left shoulder blade to square your shoulder girdle. Both your shoulders to the ground. Take another full inhale here. And with your exhale, just unroll and relax your left leg down. Take another full breath. Empty your breath all the way, and then walk your feet up to your hands. Separate your feet so they're hip distance apart. And you're going to bring your left hand underneath your chin when you're in a halfway lift. And then you're going to bend. I think we did this yesterday. You're going to bend your left knee as you stretch your right arm up. And then you replace your right hand where your left hand was. Switch your knees. Twist again. And then let your arm come down, toe heel your feet together, root down and roll up one vertebrae at a time. You can even stretch your arms up to the ceiling. And with your exhale, let your hands come down through Samasti and then relax your arms. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, bow forward, softening your knees. Inhale, halfway lift, keep your hands on the mat, ready for chaturanga, essentially. And then with your exhale, you knew where we're going, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, feel your chest expanding, your shoulders dropping down your back, fingers spreading out. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pulling your lower belly to your spine. Feeling the length of your spine. And even spinning your upper arms away from your ears. This should help you drop your shoulders towards your hips. Take a full inhale as you lift your right leg. And with your exhale, step your right foot to your right hand. And then take your right foot to the outside of your right hand and just start to make some circles. So maybe this is lazy disco lizard. And then step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Squat for a moment, and then stretch your right leg back and make the other complementary circles. And now step your right foot forward and lift your hands into Malasana. Feel your chest lifting up. So let your shoulders roll back, help peel up your chest, you feel like. Interlace your fingers. And so you're going to lift your hips up as you spin your toes in front of your ankles to about your hips go to knee distance. And then keeping this lovely, sexy height, you're going to waddle back to the end of your mat and come back down to Malasana. Now, we're going to waddle back to where we came from. Switch your grip from last time. Stretch your hands forward. Spin your toes forward. And then keeping your hips low, walk right back. Oh, Malasana. Heart lifts up. And while we're here, we're going to take a little simple open arm twist. So you're going to open up your arms, look up towards your left thumb, feel that your right elbow is pushing your right knee back. And then bring your hands back to prayer, Malasana. Take a full inhale. And with your exhale, ta-da, enjoy the other side. And then come back to Malasana, turn your toes in, come into your forward bend, let your head hang. And then toe heel your feet all the way together, root down and roll up, stretch up tall, reach high, exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float. Exhale, chaturanga or the ground. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg long. With your exhale, bend your knee, let your hips spin open. Inhale here. And then exhale, step your right foot to your right thumb. Rise up, crescent lunge. Exhale, chaturanga. Trying to lift up our heat. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg up to the sky. With your exhale, bend your knee, let your hips spin open. Exhale, step your left foot to your left thumb, rise up. Feel the power of your legs as kind of the force that lifts you up even. And then ride your breath all the way down, chaturanga. Inhale, up doggy. Exhale, down dog. Feel your fingers rooted down towards the mat. Notice there's no wrinkles in the front of your ankles. Take another fueling inhale, empty your breath all the way, and then float your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, fly your arms, feel the expansion like an eagle. Exhale, release and bow down, let your head drop. Root down and roll up, stretch up tall. Exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Now inhale, halfway lift, and then lift up your heels and bring the backs of your knees to the backs of your arms. Bring your weight forward, lift up one foot, maybe the next foot. And then exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. With your exhale, step your right foot to your right thumb. Rise up, crescent lunge. And with your exhale, fly into airplane. Take your arms back, long limbs, all of them long. And now bring your hands to heart center. Take your fueling, lengthening exhale here. Inhale, sorry. And then exhale, see if you can open up into the half moon. So you drop your right hand down, stretch your arm, stretch your leg. And then with your exhale, bring your left hand down to the ground. Keep your left leg lifted. Square your left hip and just wave your right arm with your next exhale into the twist here. Now, in this twist, you can feel that you're twisting. You're going to lightly put your back foot down and you're going to lift up into a twisted Anjaneyasana. Excellent. And then with your exhale, you're going to bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Other way, Hedwig. Now, maybe again, just see if you can float your leg. Nice. And then let your left foot come down gently. Now, either you stay here, or if you want, you can try the arm balance here. So you take your right elbow into your waist, see what pair is doing, and then keeping your left hand where it is, let your hands catch you. My leggings are way too slippery. Maybe yours are too. So you're actually making a little shelf with your bent elbows and you're going onto your bent elbows. I can't demonstrate it today because I have a wrist injury. I'll demonstrate on the other side. All right, fake it till you make it. Exhale, chaturanga. We catch up. We got this. Take a full inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, where were we? Inhale, stretch your left leg up to the sky. And with your exhale, step your left foot forward. Rise up, crescent lunge. And then with your exhale, fly into airplane. Your arms reach back, your back leg lifts, your heart is expanding. Then bring your hands to prayer. This is makes it harder. And you're going to spin your right hip open and drop your left hand down and open up your right arm, coming into a half moon. So beautiful. And then with your exhale, bring your right hand down, let your hips square, but keep your right leg lifted. And with your next inhale, get long. With your next exhale, just wave your left arm up. Beautiful. And then we're going to keep this twist. You're going to bring your right foot all the way to the back of your mat, and your right arm is going to lift up. And with your exhale, you're going to drop your left nothing. You're going to drop your right elbow to the outside of your left knee, push down your hands in prayer, shift your weight forward, and see if you can just fly your back leg. And then remembering how light it is, you can put it back down, bring your left elbow into your waist. So here's your prep, left elbow into your waist. And then you bend your back knee and you let your hands catch you and you stretch your legs out. Stretch your legs out, Hedwig. Yes, lift your chest. Now exhale, chaturanga. What? Fake it till you make it. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And then I know we're out of breath a little bit, but I'm doing this a little bit on purpose, giving us a little breathless moment. Slide forward into plank. And then we're going to do some mountain climbers because it's been too long. So you bring your right knee to your right elbow, step it back left to left elbow, and then double time. So it's like you're jogging in place. See if you can go a little fast. I want you to be breathless before we go into our wheel. Turn it on. I mean, faster, Hedwig. Yes, there you go, darling. Turn it on for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a exhale in downward facing dog. Empty your breath all the way, and then float your feet through your hands and come onto your butt. Lie down with bent knees, and before you think about it, lift up your hips. We're coming into bridge. Beautiful. So feel your breathlessness, feel the challenge, what it is to open your chest here. Feel the action between your knees as if you're clenching an invisible block. So a little bit of a smaller block. Now, yogi's choice, stay here or come into full wheel. Sometimes it does feel like we're trying to turn ourselves inside out in this pose for me. Feel your elbows squeezing together, just like your knees squeeze together. You can imagine holding on to 2 yoga blocks, one on each end. Maybe add a lion's pose by sticking out your tongue, looking at your third eye, and with a whisper, roaring. And then everybody come down to the ground. Slide your feet out, let your knees drop together. And then just a cathartic twist before our Shavasana. So let your knees come up. That's a great idea. You're feeling your wrists a little bit. You can make little circles with your fingers wrapped around your thumbs, elbows in. And then just slowly drop your knees to your left. Take your gaze to the right. Take a full inhale. And exhale, breathe out peace and love and joy. And then bring your knees back to center. And slowly drop your knees to the left. Breathing in what's hard to digest, what's hard to hear. Breathing out what you want to see more of. And then stretch yourself out for Shavasana. In your Shavasana, we pretend to be a corpse. So this is, our body is dead in this pose. So this is also saying that you shouldn't be thinking. So instead of thinking, you can work on observing. So you can notice the sounds in the room. You can notice the feelings in your body, the sensations. Notice the balance that happens when you let the ground hold you. You can soften and relax. With your next inhale, invite your sweet breath to the edges of your being, to the edges of your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then with your next inhale, stretch your arms long over your head. Wiggle your feet away from your hands. And then curl up into a seed. Maybe rolling onto your side. And then help yourself up into a comfortable seated position, or comfortable-ish. You can come into lotus again. Maybe that's not comfortable for you yet. Half lotus, easy pose. And then bring your hands back, Anahata Mudra. Think of what you dedicated your class to, or lift up the person you did. You dedicated your class to. And let's close with one final Om. Empty your breath. Take a deep inhale. Then bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward together, we say, Namaste. And so much love. Woo, 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 woo. Well done. Maybe a little chaotic. I hope you enjoyed the chaos. And yeah, if you're sore, do it again.